Greetings, fellow humans, and welcome to Sam and Max Hit the Books. I'm Max.
I'm Sam.
And we're here today to talk about the comics that came out on the 4th of March in the year 2020. No drops to report this time around. We'll start with the lightning round books this week. The first of which is Transformers Galaxies, issue 5. That's by Kate Leth and Cohen Edenfeld, and art by Alex Milne. And that's really, I wasn't going to pick this up because not a big fan of one of the writers. But Alex Milne is one of my favorite Transformers artists, and this book is awesome in that.
Nice.
The only characters who really show up are Cliff Jumper and Deathsaurus.
Yeah, Cliff Jumper's hilarious.
Yeah, I guess Cliff Jumper's character in this reality is going to be a guy who everyone thinks is Bumblebee but is red.
Yeah.
Which is funny. I have Cliff Jumper. He's the red bee in my Transformers collection over there.
Yeah, no, I know about the red bee.
Yeah, so it is interesting in meta. I do wonder how much this Cliff Jumper will be like the previous continuity's version of Cliff Jumper, who was like Wolverine for some reason. Like, not in his personality, but in his sheer fighting effectiveness.
Oh, wow.
He's like ridiculously strong.
I didn't expect that.
So I'm wondering if they're going to set that up, since he has to fight Deathsaurus, who is basically like the Megatron from Beast Wars in his final version.
Yeah, basically.
So a pretty alright book. I got to give it a lot of points for the art. The story was alright. I give it a 6.
Yeah, I also give it a 6. It was good.
Alright, cool.
Next up, talking about issue 11 of Savage Avengers. This issue is all about Doctor Strange, which is good. He's got Elektra. She's one of the Savage Avengers on his team.
And I guess they're dating now.
And I guess they're dating,
Yeah.
So that's cool. But yeah, we get the story of Kulan Gath. He uses some of Kulan Gath's blood in order to tell his history.
Right. Yeah, a little blood divination.
Yeah.
There's a word for that I can't think of.
And Kulan Gath, he's creepy.
Yeah, he's a cannibal. He gets his magical powers by consuming magic users.
Yeah.
And,
he's a cannibal.
yeah, and I really like Butch Geis's version of Shumagarath, who usually looks so much more cartoonish giant eyeball with squid arms.
And this is more like a plant.
Yeah, very, very horrific and quite enjoyable. And
yeah.
Conan shows up in this, even though I kind of, for a second, thought he might not.
It's true, he does show up. He's there in the past.
Killing Kulan throughout time.
Yeah. But this leads Doctor Strange to realize that he needs Conan's help. And so he's got to get the Savage Avengers together.
God, are they gonna find a way to actually get Venom on this team?
Oh my God!
I doubt it.
It's been so long. He's never coming back.
They're never getting Venom on this team.
Yeah. Anyways, this was all right. I give it a 5.
Yeah, I think 5 is right. I did enjoy the Butch Geist art, but I'm glad we're not sticking with it for the whole book. It was really good for this. That was all like flashbacky.
Agreed.
So we're going to move to the longer reviews with issue 90 of Batman. That's by James Tynion IV and Jorge Jimenez, who you may recall from the recent Justice League run.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought it was very interesting how much this issue was like a refutation of the Tom King run style. Because what is this issue? Is Batman and Catwoman standing on a rooftop and have one of them telling the other person the story.
Yep.
Which was like at least 6 individual issues of the King run. But the story is good, and it's action-packed, and they show us the story instead of having it play out in a bunch of text boxes between the characters.
Yeah.
And you get
Joker.
Right, Joker. It's great. I love that it's kind of like the classic 60s Batman TV show villains all teaming up together for this.
Yeah, the old days.
And Jorge Jimenez's Joker is appropriately creepy. And so the designer is 1,000% supposed to be James Moriarty, right?
Moriarty.
Sherlock Holmes's arch enemy, James Moriarty, because he tells his backstory, and it's about how he had faced a detective, the greatest detective the world had ever seen. And this is 1,000% supposed to be Moriarty is now in the DC universe.
Okay. Well, I didn't know Moriarty could be in the DC universe, so I didn't assume it was. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
In some versions of Batman's backstory, he has been trained in detective work by Sherlock Holmes. But yeah, I just love that full page where Batman is yelling at Selina for telling the story, and he literally is yelling at her like, "There isn't time for this nostalgia, Selina." And his face is such like a grimace. It's so the opposite of the King style, and it's showing how you could do that style of story and do it well.
Yeah, it's funny. It's very funny.
Man, the art is so good in this issue.
And the art is so good. And yeah, the what's his name?
The designer?
The designer. Thank you.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was thinking director.
Ooh, that'd be a good one.
But yeah, the designer sitting in the room with the Joker. You don't know what the Joker said to him, but then he busts out and he's just like, "Kill them all!"
Yes.
Oh man, I love it.
Joker said something so terrible to him that not only did it make him decide that Joker was horrible, but that like any villains who would come out of a city that could make the Joker needed to be slaughtered immediately. And he's a criminal genius. He's not some hero.
Right. That's awesome.
So yeah, it was a pretty damn entertaining, well-drawn issue of Batman. I liked this quite a bit.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it it's tough. I think I have to give it a 7.
I would also give it a 7. Yes.
Yeah.
Good job, James Tiny in the 4th.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
The art is real good.
It was very enjoyable. Now we're going to something that is also enjoyable. Number 9 of the Goon. Issue number 9 of the Goon. And yeah, so we're starting with, this is written by Roger Langbridge.
Yeah.
And illustrated by Mike Norton.
Which is interesting. So this is the first issue of the Goon we've gotten that has no creative influence from Eric Powell, who was writing and drawing.
He was doing the other stuff. That's true.
So
we're here on the ground floor of a new arc.
Right, at least 4 issues of this creative team.
Right.
Which is still doing a pretty good job.
They're doing a pretty good job.
Yeah.
I did feel like it was less wacky.
It didn't quite have the same energy. It was a noticeable difference from the Powell written issues.
Yeah. And that's the thing, but it was still good. It's nice to be starting with another little bit of Goon stuff going on with the warring of the old brewery, the old fish brewery that everybody talks about in excruciating detail.
The really good gag I thought was when the clearly German fish guys were talking about Frankie and being like, he's clearly a foreigner. Did you see his eyes? Because Frankie's the only character who has no pupils.
No pupils at all.
And yeah, when he's describing the fish brew.
The fish brew.
Oh my god, it's disgusting.
It's so disgusting.
There's so much fish in the beer.
Yeah.
At every level.
At every level.
And yeah, these witch characters are interesting.
Right, you expected them to be pretty evil at first, but then they're just opening a competing company.
Yeah, and like a lot of things they're saying are like somewhat legitimate grievances, it sounds like.
Like you used to live here and you got ran out of town. Well, yeah, it makes sense that you'd want to come back and run the people who ran you out of town.
Absolutely. It's just weird because they also seem extremely sinister.
Yeah. No, I like it. I like that I'm not sure at the end of this who the bad guys are anymore. Right. It does that very well.
Yeah, we're going to get one of those classics Doc or the warring business stories where nobody's in the right.
Yeah,
and
exactly. Good stuff.
A+ level supporting character showed up again, the real estate agent who specializes in death curses.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He's usually funny.
Yeah. Also, there's that chicken that tried the witch's brew and now has its own radio show.
That was pretty funny. I like the drawing on that panel. It was
good. I give it a 7.
Yeah, I think it's a 7 for me too. Still pretty solid.
Cool.
All right, so before we start the next book, I have to apologize, not just to the listeners, but to you, Sam. I believe I did say the words on the record on this show that we were done with Tom King.
Yep, that's true.
And it was a light week. There was only 4 books in my poll. And because I had bought other Tom King books before, the guy at the store had slipped this in with them, thinking I might want to get it. We got the first issue of Strange Adventures. It's by Tom King with alternating art by Mitch Gerrits and Evan Doc Shaner. And let me just start by saying that Doc Shaner's art is really good.
He's doing the...
He's doing the Ran stuff.
Yeah, the Rand stuff is cool.
That may or may not have actually happened, or might be some kind of false memory, because the plot of the book is Adam Strange is doing a book tour that's like his biography of this war he fought and won on Ran.
Yeah.
And we're getting interspersed flashbacks that are drawn by Doc Shaner. The regular real-world stuff is drawn by Mitch Gerrards. And then, dude, in like the signing line at one of his book events, like accuses him of being a liar and making everything up, and maybe have done some like horrible war crimes to the other species in the war.
Yeah, that's what he's being accused of.
And then that dude, the accuser, is like found dead from like a pew laser beam shot. They can tell. And it's all it's a pretty efficient setup. They really don't wait around much. It's very interesting, the difference in Tom King's plotting in a series that's set to be 12 issues versus, I'm going to write 100 issues of Batman. What do I do to fill this space?
Yeah, that's true.
What do you think?
That was, it was all right. At some points, it did get a little long-winded. Some of the stuff going on, and I just skipped over a little of that.
Understandable.
In a couple of places, and there was that one random page, one panel of Strange having sex, which totally brought me back to think about Bendis and King.
Well, this at least is a Black Label title.
Oh, okay.
So this is supposed to be, 15 and up or whatever.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense.
So it does get a pass. It is interesting that one of the main complaints about the Batman run was that King was putting too much of himself into the character. And what has he done when he gets on Adam Strange? But he immediately turns Adam Strange into a soldier who is now a writer selling books and, trading on his experiences in war, which Tom King, that's him. Like, that's what he did.
That's hilarious.
So we shall see. I don't know if, issue 2 comes out and it's a fat week. I don't know if I'm going to really want to continue this. I do like that Mr. Terrific is going to show up and be like the other character.
Yeah, that was a good choice.
Yeah. And the Doc Shaner parts look really good. Like, if this was just a whole book of the Doc Shaner parts, I'd be down.
Yeah, it does look freaking cool.
I'm not super familiar with Adam Strange's deal, but it seems like he's basically John Carter, but like more sci-fi, like this whole like warping magically to this other planet and being there for a limited amount of time and then coming back to Earth. Like, that's also John Carter's deal.
That's what John Carter's deal is?
Yeah, he's a Civil War soldier who gets warped to Barsoom, which is what the people on Mars call Mars.
Does he get a laser?
No, he gets a sword. It's much more swashbuckly swords.
Okay.
There's like weird technology with like floating rocks and stuff. Like, it's very Final Fantasy, but he's a sword guy.
Well, I didn't know anything about the warping. To me, Adam Strange has just been a dude with a jetpack and a spacesuit and a laser gun.
A 50s pulp hero.
Yeah, he flies through space. It makes perfect sense to me. He's probably a scientist.
Yeah, it's true, right? He doesn't need that. Like, his suit and what he does a very good job of illustrating his whole deal without him saying anything.
Yeah. That's all you really need.
So, I'm going to give this a 5. Mostly because Doc Shaner's a good artist.
I'd also give it a 5.
Yeah.
It was alright.
Would you want to get another issue of this?
I'd read another issue, but I'm not overly enthusiastic about it.
Understood. And, that's going to do it. Short episode this week. It was light for us.
Yep.
But thank you so much to everybody for tuning in. And we will be back in the very near future with even more comic reviews.
Orange is way more threatening than yellow. It's backwards going to yellow because yellow, orange, red.